update. My brother-in-law just told my wife he is in love with her. Original post. Yesterday, my brother-in-law out of the blue asked my wife if she could meet him for lunch because there was something he needed to talk to her about. My wife told me before accepting and asked if it might have something to do with my sister. Maybe they were having problems and he wanted to discuss it with another woman? I found it odd but told her to go find out. She accepted and they met for lunch at a place near her office the next day. That's when he told her he was in love with her. He laid it on thick, how beautiful she is, how she makes him feel, how he would treat her if she were his, how it was love at first sight, blah blah blah. Mind you, this man is married to my sister and has 2 kids. He and my wife had a friendly relationship. Our families see each other often as we are a close family. He does text her frequently, but there was nothing overly sexual. My brother-in-law also texts and calls my mom, so none of us thought anything of it. I want to emphasize that my wife isn't cheating on me with him. My wife and I share an iPad, and I see every one of her texts there. We also look at each other's phones all the time, so none of that is going on. She didn't let him finish, walked out, and called me immediately to tell me what happened. While she was on the phone with me, texts from him started coming in. He said he didn't mean it, that he thought it was only infatuation, blah blah blah. She left work early to come home and talk to me about it, and her phone was blowing up the entire time with calls and texts from him. I told her to answer, and she put him on speaker so I could hear. He was crying and begging her not to tell my sister. Apparently, when we were together this past weekend, he thought she was flirting with him and believed they had a moment when they were alone in our kitchen. Now my wife is a major ball buster, and I suppose I can see how that could be misinterpreted as flirting. He asked if she had told me, to which I answered yes as I was on speaker. Then he started begging me. This went on for a while. My main question was whether he had cheated on my sister before. He said no, swore on his kids' lives, and claimed it was just my wife. He said I should understand. At that point, I was done listening and told him I wasn't going to do anything that night and would call him tomorrow. That's where we are right now, and I really don't know what to do. My wife says to drive over there right now and tell my sister, but the idea of wrecking my sister's family is killing me. Thinking about what it will do to my nieces makes me want to vomit. I know the right thing to do is tell my sister, but I'm also thinking about my wife. It's not her fault, but there is sure to be resentment toward her from my family. Even if my sister doesn't divorce him and they reconcile, I can't see how we would ever be together again like we were before, if at all. This whole episode could tear my family apart. I don't give a damn about him. He tried to destroy my family, but I do care about everyone else. I don't know what to do. Any advice will help. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. He does text her frequently, but there was nothing overly sexual. So since the constant texts to your wife from your sister's husband were only a bit sexual, you let it slide? Anyway, I can't believe you didn't go straight to your sister, tell her, and beat his ass. The texts never crossed the line. I see all of them, and he knows that. We are a family. It never occurred to me or my wife that things could take this turn. Like I said, my wife is a ball buster, and she treated him like a brother, like family. You are not wrecking her marriage. He is doing that. You will be wrecking your relationship with your sister if you don't tell. And you should be the one to tell her. Your wife should not be involved in that conversation. You don't want her to be a target of your sister's anger. Go to your sister's house in the morning. Do not warn him. Be straightforward and bring snapshots of the texts he sent. I don't think my sister will be angry with my wife, but how do you not feel some form of resentment? Now for the first update. Everyone who told me last night that I couldn't wait to tell my sister was right. A little after midnight, I got a call from my sister saying she had to tell me that my wife had tried to start an affair with her husband. So he tried to pin it on her. I told her that wasn't the case and that I would be right over. I got on the phone, woke my mother and father, told them what was going on, then woke my younger brother and told him. My mom and dad headed to my sister's to sit with her kids, and my brother came to our house to sit with ours. My wife and I headed over. My sister was out on the front porch with my brother-in-law when we got there. He looked beaten. He knew we had texts and voicemail. I really don't know what he was hoping to accomplish. My wife gave my sister her phone. She saw the texts, listened to the voicemails, and he started sobbing before she could say anything. My brother-in-law is a firefighter, a big tough guy, so this was a scene. My sister is pretty tough. She told him to stop it, pack a bag, and go. She couldn't stand to look at him. There was more begging, but she had no patience for it. My sister walked off to talk with my wife. I saw them hugging, so at least I felt like they were okay. They've actually been friends since college. I met my wife through my sister, so they're tight. The thought of this wrecking their friendship had been weighing on me. This left me with my brother-in-law. He was broken, so I felt more sympathy than anger. He said he was sorry, that he just couldn't help it. It's not hard to fall in love with my wife, so I get it. But damn, man. He eventually picked himself up and left. We stayed there all night. My sister started asking my wife why her husband would think any of this would work out. He had to have some reason to believe she felt the same way. My sister said they hadn't been having problems. Everything was as it had always been. My wife was crying at this point and said, "There's nothing you haven't seen." She gave my sister her phone again, and they read every text ever sent over the past 2 years. Nothing there. My wife was just herself. She has a playful personality, and so does my brother-in-law, so they teased each other. She does the same with my mom and younger brother. The only thing she could think of was the moment in the kitchen this past weekend he referenced. They both went for the fridge at the same time and playfully jostled over who would get there first. He let her win, but reached around her waist to get a beer slowly, and she did feel the way he did it was a little inappropriate. She said she should have called him on it, but didn't want to make it a big thing. She feels maybe the fact that she didn't give him hope. My sister doesn't blame her, so at least that's good. Then my sister started going through his MacBook to see what else she didn't know about. She was angry and frantic at this point. She guessed the password, started searching, and found a lot of pictures of my wife on that computer. They went back years and were always isolated shots of just her. We had gone as couples to the Caribbean a few years earlier. My wife wore a bikini. She usually doesn't, but since it was adults only, she did. There were probably 50 photos of her in that bathing suit. So he's been secretly snapping these for years. Does this now enter restraining order territory? This has taken a creepy turn. I'll update when I have more. Second update. I've shared many of your comments with my wife. It makes her feel better that virtually everyone here holds her blameless, so thank you. Unfortunately, the mess continues. My sister agreed to talk to her husband last night and let him explain. She put my wife on FaceTime during the conversation, so there would be no lying. I was listening in as well, off camera. My sister was also recording the whole thing. He admitted he's been obsessed with my wife for years. It started the day he met her. My wife and I were dating at the time, but he met her before he met me. Like I said, my wife and sister are longtime friends, and my sister wanted to introduce her boyfriend to her friends. He thought it was only physical for a while, but over a time he knew it was more. My sister nearly kicked him out right there, but listen a little more. She eventually asked what made him think my wife would leave me for him. He answered that there was obviously mutual attraction, and he figured it would begin as an affair and then progress from there. My wife and sister exploded at that point. A lot of cussing and screaming. The phone call ended. My wife hung up because she was concerned for me. She was shaken and distraught, assuring me the attraction was one-sided. I never thought it wasn't. Even if she did find him physically attractive, I know she would never act on it. She's just not the type. Early in our relationship, she caught me admiring her as she was dressing, asked if I liked what I saw. Then her face turned cold, and she told me never to screw up or I'd never see it again. She meant it. She's serious about trust. Anyway, I knew my brother-in-law was a little cocky, but I never knew he thought so highly of himself to think he could pull something like this off. I talked to my sister later, and she's contacting a lawyer Monday to see what steps she can take to limit his exposure to her kids. As far as she's concerned, he's detached from reality. That's all I have for now. I'll update once the dust settles a bit. My wife and I were talking about this, and that's what we thought. He wanted to start an affair and then go from there. There is no way to recover from asking your sister-in-law to have an affair if the feeling isn't mutual. You've torched everything. Incredibly high-risk gambit with low success potential. But he would have done this sooner or later, with or without the kitchen incident. He had made comments to me many times through the years that my wife was out of my league. I would just laugh and agree she is. I guess he thought his gamble was not so high risk. What a creepy scumbag. It was his resentment and obsession showing. He was trying to put you down when he said those things. You and your wife should try to get a restraining order on him. The depths of his obsession are extremely concerning, and I wouldn't put it past him to do something bad to you guys. He's like a cornered rat now, and the cornered rat often bites the cat. Now for the last update. This is likely to be my final update, as I don't see much more happening after this besides divorce proceedings. Thanks for all the comments. They have helped my wife with the guilt. Anyway, my brother-in-law returned home yesterday, not because my sister wants him back, but because she can't legally stop him. They are done. I think he realizes that now. The lawyer told my sister that since my brother-in-law's behavior over the past few days has been documented, there is a good chance she will be granted full custody. He doesn't even seem to want to fight her on that. My sister will be fine. Any love she had for him is gone, and she doesn't seem too broken up about it. The kids don't know what happened yet, but my brother-in-law was never around much anyway when they were home. He slept at the fire station many nights and put in a lot of overtime. But it is certain to be hard on them once they know what's going to happen. Many commenters have said that there must be more women, but as far as we can tell, there haven't been. It's really just the obsession with my wife. She has blocked his phone, but on the same night he returned home, he sent my wife an email from an account he had just made. It started with an apology, but then took a turn. He said he never got to finish at the restaurant that day, then went on for paragraphs about all the things he loves about my wife and the desperation he felt that led him to do what he did. He mentioned their mutual attraction again, and the sexual tension he always felt was between them, and ended with a rather large section about me. Let's just say I didn't know he had such a low opinion of me. He was quite certain that I was not satisfying my wife properly. Anyway, we sent the email to my sister, and it will go to the lawyer. It might be enough to get him removed from the house. Finally, my wife isn't great, but she is doing better every day. She does blame herself for being too comfortable around my brother-in-law. She is always careful to set boundaries with other men. In case you haven't figured it out already, my wife is pretty stunning and gets a lot of male attention. But with my brother-in-law, she felt safe to be herself. Since he was family, surely no lines would be crossed. She and my sister are cool, and there doesn't appear to be any resentment, so that makes me happy. We will all be okay. It will just take time. Thanks to all who commented and voiced their support. What a bomb that he threw in to blow everything up. Please take steps to secure your home and car. Recommend a restraining order so he can't come around trying to explain, convince, or apologize to your wife. Hoping your sister can do what needs to be done and move on to a better life. I don't think my brother-in-law is dangerous, just conceited. The guy was quite the ladies' man before getting married and still got plenty of attention even after. His ego is bruised, but I do have cameras and an alarm. Thank you for sharing this sad story. It has been helpful for me. My wife has been casually pursued by a married member of my club, and she is usually too surprised and modest to assume what he's after. When he first started, my wife thought it was just harmless banter, but I didn't, and told her I didn't think so. As it continued, she finally realized I was right, so when I had to tell him to knock it off, she was relieved. It took 3 incidents for him to finally get the message. My wife is mad at herself because she's usually so careful. She's had so many incidents when she was younger with guys she was friendly to that ended up making unwanted advances. So this guy was at your wedding? I wonder what he was thinking at the wedding. He was one of my groomsmen. He got very drunk. Last story. I ruined my brother's marriage without meaning to. My brother's wife has always been flirty. She's the kind of person who makes playful comments, touches your arm when she laughs, and leans in a little too close during conversations. I always brushed it off as her personality. Honestly, I never saw her as anything more than my brother's spouse, and I figured the teasing was harmless. A couple of months ago, we had a big family barbecue at my parents' house. Everyone was drinking, laughing, and catching up. Late into the evening, while we were standing near the grill, she made a joke in front of a few people about me looking better than her husband. I laughed awkwardly, said something to change the subject, and moved on. I didn't think much of it at the time. It was just another one of her random comments. A few days later, out of nowhere, my brother called me. He was furious, yelling into the phone before I could even say hello. He accused me of sleeping with his wife years ago before they got married. I was completely blindsided. According to him, she told him we had hooked up once and she had kept it to herself until now. I was stunned. That never happened. I've never even been alone in a room with her. I tried to tell him the truth, but he refused to listen. He said he believed her because she had no reason to lie. He hung up on me and hasn't answered my calls or texts since. It got worse. My parents called me shortly after, both of them clearly angry and disappointed. They said they were ashamed and that I had crossed a line. No matter what I said, they wouldn't believe me either. It's my word against hers, and in their eyes, I'm guilty. The most frustrating part is that I have no way to prove my innocence. There are no texts, no photos, no witnesses, because nothing happened. But in the absence of proof, they're taking her side. I've lost my brother. My relationship with my parents has been severely damaged, and now there's this cloud of suspicion hanging over me for something I didn't even do. Ask her to prove it, to name a single mark, scar, mole, or tattoo, if you have them, on your body that isn't visible to the public. Also, any form of communication between you that goes back that far. If you were shagging, surely she'd have messages or something from you during that time. That's the best way. My husband's ex-friend tried to claim he had hooked up with me, so he asked if he noted something weird. He said yes, but couldn't say what, so my husband didn't believe him. I have a chipped tooth that is not visible, and I don't mention it. Pretty embarrassed about why it's chipped. He knows. Why did she do this? She is so strange. My sibling's spouse decided to tell a lie that didn't involve sex, but was something they knew would cause a family rift. So, yep, sibling picked spouse, and there's tension with parents. The spouse has slowly been isolating my sibling from their support system in my case, right down to friends. Sometimes it's simply for the drama, attention, or so no one can raise the alarm if things aren't cool. That sounds like classic manipulation and isolation tactics. Cutting someone off from family and friends makes it easier to control them and rewrite the truth.